Another class had a lady about 250 pounds. I thought to myself, hey lady, go on a diet, exercise, take care of yourself. I'm not proud to admit to you that I was that shallow in my thinking, but that's where my head was years ago. One night she made this comment to the group. She said, I feel so good about myself. Last year I weighed 341. I'm down to 248 right now. And there went the judgment. When I began to realize I seldom have enough data to play God and judge somebody else. As I get a little bit older, a little bit wiser, I'm finding so many of my snap judgments, first impressions, stereotypes are wrong. I take time to understand something about them. When I learn more who they may be, I find myself with less judgment, more respect. I'm not suggesting that you have to approve of bad behavior. I would never suggest that. But this is the magic. I have learned when I show more interest in people, always get more from people. Here's the reverse side. If others think negatively about you, up goes stress, down comes work-life balance. Over here for a moment. You put your arms out there. It's Corey. Just resist all your strength. We'll see how strong you are. Yeah. You're quite solid. How about this little lady right here? Yeah, come up here if you would. Yes. Your name is?
Charlene.
Thanks, Charlene. Do you know Corey?
No.
That'll work out great. Stand right here and face Corey. I'm going to ask Corey in a moment to close his eyes. He'll do that for 30 seconds.
Okay.
While his eyes are closed, I want you to look at him and think rotten thoughts about him.
Just think them?
Yeah, just think them. That he's stupid, ugly, worthless, incompetent, can't stand him. I'm sure he's great. But just pretend negative things about him.
Okay.
You can do that, obviously. During that 30 seconds, Corey, don't tell yourself anything, think anything. You just stand there, right? Close your eyes. Look at him and think up those private negative thoughts about Corey. All right, that's 30 seconds. You can open your eyes. Did you think some of those thoughts?
I did.
Good. I thought of a few things also. Let you sit back down. Thank you. And like before, Corey, just put your arms up there and same thing, resist all your strength. You ready? And resist. Good. Those are some juicy thoughts. And of course you're trying.
Yeah.
Before I couldn't budge you, and now they came down fairly easily. That's what happens. It takes about 30 seconds of somebody else thinking negatively about you to stress you out. People say, you're just getting tired, wearing out from all this strain. Again, not physical, all psychological. Let me demonstrate. Would you all stand up? I'd like you all to look at Corey right now. And everybody think rotten thoughts about Corey. That he's stupid, worthless, can't stand him. Again, we know he's a cool guy. Just pretend negative things about him as you look at him. You'll see why. And Corey, close your eyes, please. Corey, tell yourself, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great, over and over in your head. Okay. All right, that's 30 seconds. You can sit back down again. Like before, Corey, open up your arms and resist all your strength. You ready? And resist. Good. You see the difference? Why is he strong? I whispered in his ear. I whispered something positive, exactly. What did I say to you?
Tell myself I'm great.
Yeah, say I'm great over and over again. You see, if one person like the lady could wipe him out, You think 200 people could cause a dramatic reaction like Corey wetting his pants. And he should be the weakest that third time, perhaps he's the strongest. Back in 52, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale wrote the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. Said in the book, the positive thought long enough can push aside all the negative influences. Psychologists said that's stupid, doesn't work, it's Pollyannish. Couldn't prove it worked. Until a few years ago, Russia developed Kirlian photography, which shows the body does not stop here. There are layers of energy on the body that can be seen, can be photographed. When you think nothing in particular, like I said, just stand there when she shows up. Shows up as holes and as layers of energy. She thinks a negative, zaps him. Down comes performance. When he told himself, I'm great, I'm great, it creates a big invisible halo of energy around his body, puts up a shield, and literally, negative bounces off. To me, that's scary stuff. It means you go to work someday, not doing your own positive thoughts, on some negative thinking coworkers shooting darts at you. And by 12 o'clock, you feel tired. 5 o'clock dead. A couple lessons here. Other folks' thoughts, comments may be stressing you out. Maybe your thoughts stressing those folks out. The good news is you got enough power yourself to push it all aside with positive input. Would you thank Corey for being a good sport? Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Just stand here and face the audience. We'll check your arms. Resist all your strength. You ready? Mm-hmm. And resist. Okay, good, good. Don't think we've ever met before.
No.
Want to get a bit more acquainted. I'm curious, Joan, where you were born.
Minneapolis.
Oh, right here. Okay, this is hometown, Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. Great. And put your arms back up. Resist all your strength. Minneapolis, ready? And resist. Oh. You might consider leaving Minneapolis.
Maybe.
And where do you work?
Thomson Reuters.
Thomson Reuters. Okay, good. How long?
8 years.
8 years. Let's try that. Thomson Reuters, 8 years. Ready? Resist all your strength. Yeah, good. You said born in Minneapolis. A local hospital here?
Yep.
Which one?
Swedish.
Swedish, great. Swedish hospital, Minneapolis. Put your arms up. Resist all your strength. Born in Minneapolis. And resist.
What are you doing?
If you're wondering what's happening, nothing wrong with Minneapolis. The reason your arms went down, whenever I asked you where you were born, mm-hmm. I had them just thinking in their heads out here, pretending that Joan is a jerk.
Hey.
They made the arms come down. When I asked you about your job, they're thinking that Joan is great. Think she's a good person, good sport? You think so? Put your arms up one more time and try it. Ready? And resist. Yeah, great. Thank you. Brings it right back up again. You can go back. Thank you. Those who did the pushing, I want you to face your partner, look at that person, and repeat after me these comments. The pushers will be the talkers. Now, these may not be true, but just say them anyway. So talkers, tell your partner, you're no good. You can't do it. You're lousy. You're incompetent. You're ugly. You're a loser. You'll never amount to anything. Who do you think you are? You're stupid. You're incompetent. You're lazy. You can't do it. Forget it. You're a loser. Check their arms again, please. Give them a good push. And of course, you see the arms get weaker. How many saw the arms get weaker those few seconds, got weaker? That's what happens in 5 to 8 seconds. Imagine the impact of negative talk in your family, in your job for 20, 30, 40 years. It's huge. It's devastating. It kills off the work-life balance, creates the stress. Charles, a room service waiter at a Marriott hotel, was walking by the front desk and overheard a conversation. Heard that one of the guests had just lost her sister unexpectedly. On his own initiative, went to the gift shop, bought a sympathy card, had 4 of his buddies, along with himself, sign the card. Went to the restaurant, got a piece of apple pie. Went to the guest's room, knocked on the door. And he said, "Ma'am, heard about your sister passing away. We're very sorry about that. We know there's not much we can do about it. but I want you to know that we care. We got you this card, my buddies and I, we signed it. Wish you the best, Godspeed. When she checked out of the hotel, she had been so impacted, got the address of Bill Marriott, chairman of the corporation, wrote him this letter. So, Mr. Marriott, I never met you. But I don't need to meet you because I met Charles, your room service waiter. I know what you stand for. I want you to know that as long as I live, I'll always stay at Marriott's and tell my friends to stay at Marriott's. One customer goes 5 minutes out of his way and turns an average customer into an ambassador for the organization. It's the power of partnership. My question today is, if you had been Charles, what would you have done in that situation? Gave a great definition of whining coworkers. My first trip there. Heard about these beautiful Arizona sunsets. Finished my talk one evening. Went outside the convention hall. Gorgeous sunset. I turned to the guy next to me. I said, look at the sunset. Isn't it beautiful? You know what he said? He said, I think the pinks are a little bright. That even God didn't get it quite right. The complaining's almost become a national pastime. I'll give you a little research assignment. I've been right every place I've spoken so far. Look around any organization. You'll find the most negative employees always find each other. They have coffee breaks together, lunches together. It's called the daily pity party. And quite simply, there's too much negative talk in the workplace. This attitude thing gets killed off, the very beginning of partnership or customer intimacy. For example, you go to some coworker and say, I'd like your help on this project. And the person says, that's not my. And you feel put down or pushed aside. You go to somebody else and say, I have an idea for improving things. And they say, oh, we've never done that kind of thing before. Oh, we've always done it like this. We tried that back in 2012. On occasion, those can be legitimate comments. But most of the time, they're said to shut people up. Back off and don't rock the boat. The price of too many killer statements, quite simply, is killed off attitude. Let's work on this. Would you stand up, please? And the question is this. The question is, of those killer statements on page 9 and 10, which of the killers have you heard people say before? I don't care if it's Johnson Bank, someplace else. Which ones have you heard before? Talk to your partner, please. Help me out. Which of those killers have you heard people say before? Yeah, probably heard all of them. Which ones have you heard most often? Number 15 says, don't have enough help.
I said that.
You said that, yes. Other ones you've heard quite a bit.
That's not my job.
Not my job. Another one might be, 19 says, don't have the authority. I often think to myself, if we're going to be negative, at least be efficient. Give the list to everybody in the organization. Whenever they bring up a new idea, say, look at the list. 12, 22, 41, just quote numbers and save time. Let me show you what happens to people's performance. If people talk that way or think that way at work. Right here, the gentleman. What's your first name?
Ryan.
Ryan? Don't think we've met before, have we?
No.
Not been in my programs.
No.
That's good. Are you in good shape, Ryan?
No.
I'll rephrase. You're not injured in any way.
No.
Your back, your arms, they're in good shape?
I'm good.
Okay, great. Come up here, please. Thanks for volunteering. Let me just stand over to the side. Yeah, you can take the steps. I'll talk to the audience for just a second. One of my colleagues, his name is Dr. John Diamond. He's a physician in Australia. Made some amazing headlines on something called behavioral kinesiology. It's a fancy way of saying that what people say to you on the job or think about you will motivate great performance or kill it all off. Behavioral kinesiology. Some of you might know the research. What I'll ask you to do in a moment, Ryan, is put your arms out to the side. Just face me if you would, please. I'll put my hands on your wrists, I'll push down. Resist with all your strength, okay? Let's see how strong you are. Shoulder level and resist. Yeah, That's pretty good.
Are you okay?
Yes. You're stronger than you look. This little lady right here. What's your name? Cindy, come up here, Cindy. Need your help. You can take the steps over there. Cindy, do you know Ryan? A little. A little, okay, great. Have you stand where you were before, Ryan, just like this, facing me over here, Cindy. I'm going to ask Ryan in a moment to close his eyes. He'll do that for 30 seconds. While his eyes are closed, I want you to look at him and think rotten thoughts about him. That he's stupid, ugly, worthless, incompetent, can't stand him.
Okay.
I'm sure he's a good guy. You just pretend those negative things about him. Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
No problem, obviously.
No.
During that 30 seconds, Ryan, I don't want you to think anything or tell yourself anything. You just stand there.
Okay.
All right? So close your eyes, Ryan. Look at him, Cindy, and make up those private negative thoughts about Ryan. Just think those thoughts in your head. Okay, that's about 30 seconds. You can open your eyes. Did you think some of those thoughts? Mm-hmm. Good. I thought of a few things also. Please sit back down, Cindy. Like before, Ryan, just put your arms up there. The same thing, resist all your strength. You ready? And resist, please. And you're trying, aren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yes. Those are some juicy thoughts. And you see what happens. It always happens that way, not some trick or gimmick. Dr. Diamond says it takes 30 seconds of thinking a negative thought about a person to zap their energy, kill off their performance. People say, oh, he's just getting tired from the first time, wearing out physically. It's not physical, all psychological. Try this. Would you all stand up, please? I'd like you all to look at Ryan right now. Everybody think rotten thoughts about Ryan. That he's stupid, ugly, worthless, can't stand him. We know he's a cool guy. You just pretend negative things about him as you look at him. You'll see why. Ryan, close your eyes again.
Do I need a chair?
No.
Okay.
Ryan, tell yourself, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. Over and over again. Okay, okay. Okay, that's about 30 seconds. You can sit back down again. Open your eyes, Ryan, and like before, just face me and put your arms up there. Resist all your strength again. You ready?
Yep.
And resist, please. Good. You see the difference? Why is he strong? I whispered in his ear, I whispered something positive. What did I say to you?
I am great.
To say to yourself, I'm great, over and over. You see, if one person like Cindy could wipe him out, you think 100 folks would cause a dramatic reaction like Ryan wetting his pants. And he should be the weakest that third time, perhaps he's the strongest. Back in '52, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale wrote the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. Said in the book, the positive thought long enough can push aside all the negative influences. Psychologists said that stupid doesn't work. Couldn't prove it really worked. Till a few years ago, Russia developed Kirlian photography, which shows the body does not stop here. There are layers of energy around the body that can be seen, can be photographed. When you think nothing in particular, like I said, just stand there when she comes up. It shows up as holes in his layers of energy. She thinks a negative, zaps him, down comes performance. When he told himself, I'm great, I'm great, he photographs a big orange-yellow halo around his body, puts up a shield, and literally, negative bounces off. To me, that's scary stuff. It means you go to work someday, not doing your own positive thoughts, around some negative thinking folks who are shooting darts at you, and by 12 o'clock you feel tired, 5 o'clock dead. A couple lessons here. Other people's thoughts may be hurting your performance, maybe your thoughts hurting their performance. More importantly, you have the power to push it aside with your own positive input. Would you thank Ryan for being a good sport? Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Thanks. Please repeat after me. Tell them, I'm glad you're here. I believe in you. You're a winner. You're the best. You're a champ. You're cool. You're excellent. You're great. You can do it. You're a winner. You're the best. You can do it. You're the best. Check their arms again, please. Yeah, good. Good. Great. You can sit back down. The lesson is very simple but extremely important. If you're working with people who are whining, griping, complaining, come across those folks in your marketplace, at home, wherever, maybe you're married to them, I don't know. But if you're around people who are whining, complaining, what I'm trying to say as strongly as I can, do not let their garbage become your destiny. Must do exactly as Ryan taught you. Tell yourself some counteracting positives. And one simple takeaway I would suggest, I've seen it do miraculous things in organizations. Take those 50 killer statements, those 2 pages back to work. Give everybody a copy of that on your team. Next time you have a meeting, challenge every folk to not use one single one of those comments. Make them feel welcome. Picked up a taxi a while ago in Troy, Michigan. Got in the taxi, told the taxi driver, it's a beautiful morning outside. He said, no, it isn't. In fact, it's never a good morning. You can't imagine the number of people I pick up every single morning. Dropped me off and said, if you need a ride to the airport this afternoon, give me a call. Right. Felt like a pest, not a guest in that man's taxi. Lost my business. To make them feel welcome. And the same applies at home as on the job. When you go home in the evening, what time do you go home? 4, 5, 6 o'clock? When you walk in the door, does your spouse say, hey, honey, you're home? Or does your spouse say, oh, it's you? It's the first need to feel welcome. One of my clients, British Airways, a little change in meeting this need brought a huge dividend. For a long time, they were not a great airlines. Then they told their ticket agents, keep all things the same except add one detail in your service. Use the customer's name. When you get back the ticket, use their name. It might be, have a great trip, Mr. Johnson. Hope you enjoy British Airways, Miss Wilson. In the 30 days they tried that, their customer satisfaction scores rose a phenomenal 60%. I don't know about you. I can count on one hand the places I do business that uses my name. People say, well, that's a lot to remember, all the names. Not really. When we buy things these days, usually pay by what? Credit card, check, name's right there. Most don't use it. I'm amazed. I'll be at some Target store. I might ask the clerk, how you doing today, Mary? She might say, how'd you know my name? Name taken for 5 years, no one ever used it. Make them feel welcome. This one time I was flying to Baltimore. I looked for the lowest available airfare. The cheapest I could find, Coach Super Saver, $1,200. Very expensive. Had to see my client. I buy the ticket. I go to check in. I fly so much they give you special check-in privileges, diamond, platinum flyers. I told the clerk, expecting nothing to happen, that the ticket sure is expensive today. She said, if you don't like the price, take the bus. I thought, whoa. She knew nothing about this third need of making folks feel understood. It would have taken 5 seconds to say, yep, they're pretty high sometimes, aren't they? I would have felt understood, respected, no problem. Didn't know how to do that. And I really believe that all of your customers, all of your teammates, even your family members, carry invisible signs around their necks. The sign says, make me feel important. Most effective people do exactly that. Has this happened to you? Where you ask the clerk, where are the Cheerios? And they say, I don't know, I don't know about you, but I think that's the point. They should know or could find out, but don't be bothered going through the motions. You don't feel very appreciated when they don't seem to find the answers. Dr. William James, he's known today as the father of American psychology. From his whole lifetime researching at Harvard, what brings about great relationships on and off the job, wrote this big book of research. End of his life, he was dying. A friend sent him an azalea plant. In his weakened condition, wrote a note of thanks back for the plant. As he wrote the note, So it suddenly dawned on him that the deepest craving in human nature was a craving to feel appreciated. So that is seldom, if ever, totally satisfied. Nobody gets too much praise, too much appreciation. So if you go out there and do that with your folks, your customers, you will have power. Not power over them, but power with them. In very simple terms, there are not many folks who walk this earth who have as their mission in life to make you feel good. If you do that for your customers, you stand up from the crowd. You have power to build partnership, to build relationship. She committed suicide. I didn't expect that. My mom was a good mother, good housewife, went to her bowling team, her Bible study, but she killed herself. Same weekend I lost my mother, lost my first wife and daughter. All true. My wife came at the funeral to announce she had a lover waiting out in the car. Long-term affair I didn't know about. Some other professor on campus. Said goodbye to me, took off the daughter. Didn't find the daughter for years and years, found her in France a few years ago. So in 3 days, lost those 3 most important relationships of mother, wife, daughter. My dad and I put together a funeral. My colleagues at the university sent some flowers. That was nice. The strange thing was, I went back to teaching a few days after the funeral, and nobody asked me anything. They were good teammates. But I'm sure the feeling was, what do you say? Not knowing what to say, they all pretended nothing had happened. Comments like, well, have a good day, see you around, take care, hope your class goes well. Don't be daring to ask any deeper questions or listen for a bit. For 6 months, I was walking across campus one day. Professor came by a different department. He said, just a minute, Alan. I know you've been through some big changes in your life the last few months. Hope I don't sound too nosy, too personal, but I do care. Just wondering, how are you really doing? I said, mind. It felt great to have somebody ask, how are you? And really mean the question. Not say fine and walk on. From that experience, began to realize that lots of times we know what to ask our coworkers to build stronger relationships. Not knowing what to ask or talk about the weather or how the Packers might do this year. Questions that really make a big zero difference in a lifetime. So I began watching people. Realized it wasn't just my coworkers. Lots of folks that had never been taught how to build relationships. I speak across the world, eat a lot of meals in restaurants, don't know anybody, so I sit in the restaurants, I just watch the people. I try to practice what I say in these programs, what I say in my books and CDs, I try to practice what I teach. But I got to admit it's tempting to get cynical sometimes. If I'm in a restaurant, and I see a man and woman leaning towards each other real close, and they're talking and talking and talking, I presume they're not married. Now that's not very nice. A lot of times I think I'm right. And they're just looking around, hardly saying a word or something real deep like, how's your steak, Mary? I figure, yep, they're married. And think what happens. We know in this country, 50% divorce rate, which is a pretty good sign there's lousy customer service in lots of families. The 2 most common times for divorce are 7 years of marriage and 25 years. People say 25 years, that makes no sense. Why can't they make it 25 years? Well, they don't realize they stopped talking and listening years before. Well, they talk, but it's things like, how was your lunch today? How was the drive in from a scene? You can talk to a stranger about things like that. The deeper things they used to ask when they were dating 25 years before, they stopped asking. When they're dating, they had a million questions to ask. Questions about the future, children, finances, homes, careers, education, spirituality, a million questions. Saying goodnight at the end of a date was torture. And 25 years later, how's your steak, Mary? So I dreamed up this skill, this communication concept that I called brave questions. Most of you have some sales background. As you know, they start with the 5 W's or 1 H. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. What makes them brave, they're a bit more personal below the surface. And there are millions of brave questions. Maybe asking somebody, what are your goals 5 years from today? What values do you live by and try to instill in your kids? What does a relationship mean to you with a customer and thousands of others? I learned this skill and thought to myself, I don't want all my folks in my family to pass away before we have deeper relationships. So I invited to a wedding sometime after with my grandmother, 83 years of age. Went to pick her up in a small town here in Wisconsin. Drove over to St. Paul Thanksgiving weekend for a wedding we were attending. Got in the car, I said, Grandma, I have this game called Brave Questions. I can ask you anything at all. You can ask me anything. We could pass time. Would that be all right? She said, sure, that's fine. And I got to realize all my life, some 30, 40 years I'd known Grandma. But always been superficial conversation, such as, how were the Meals on Wheels this week? Did you play bingo with Bertha? Things that make no difference whatsoever. So I thought to myself, after all these years of being superficial, got to start the process easy. So I said, Grandma, first question. You lived a long time. What's been the happiest moment of your life? I don't know what she would say. For that matter, you should ask yourself, you know what your own spouse, partner would say their happiest moment? You know what your kids would say, your parents and grandparents? Hopefully, yes, you talk that deeply once in a while. You know what the folks on the job would say? Or some of your best customers? Hopefully, yes. I find lots of folks try to live with people, work with people, manage people, sell to people. They don't know all that well. I wonder why they don't have the best of relationships. That's a big part of the answer. Grandma said, well, I don't know the happiest moment. Had lots of happy moments. Can't think of the happiest. But I can think of the most blessed moment. Would that be all right? I said, sure, that's fine. But so you may not know this, when I was 16 years of age, I was single, got pregnant. Now, it's not too cool to be 16, single and pregnant today. But imagine how you were treated 90 years ago in a small farm town in Wisconsin. Her family saw her as a sinner, a slut, disowned her, kicked her out of the family. She went to the edge of town where a farmer had a shed for a hired man. Didn't have one at the time. He said, you can stay here during the pregnancy. The night she was giving birth, said she was crying, feeling full of shame, remorse. This midwife came over to help her with the birth. Midwife just hugged her and said, you're so wonderful. Not me, 16, single, pregnant, whole life is messed up, nothing good about me. Midwife said, I don't see it that way. You could have left town, tried to abort, cover your tracks. Nobody would have known. But you chose to do what you thought was right. And for that, I respect you. My reaction was, whoa. I thought that was the first easy question I asked my grandma. I found when you ask people those brave questions and just listen to their response, they feel so special that you care that much to know them that well. They want to keep building a relationship with you. It was a year after the questions in the car running an auction for Grandma. She was selling her house, her household goods, moving to a smaller apartment. End of the day, we talked about what sold, the prices that came in. And she said, you know, Alan, last year in the car you asked me all those questions. I said, yes. Well, she said, I didn't tell you everything. Could I tell you more? I said, sure. So when I got pregnant, I wasn't messing around. Never had a date my whole life. Stayed at home and helped Ma and Pa milk the cows, churn the butter. Turned 16, there was a barn dance in the community. Pa said I could go. I was so excited, my first dance, I went there, and this man asked me to dance, and this man, it was wonderful. One man asked if I'd like a ride home. I said, thank you, that would be very kind. Didn't know him very well. You can predict the rest of the story. Got raped on the way home. So I tried to kick and push. I couldn't get him off me. Maybe you don't realize I didn't use that term rape very commonly years ago. The thought was, well, boys will be boys. They can't help it. Sick thoughts like that. I thought to myself, my gosh, all those years, I've carried on that guilt and shame because no one ever asked her any brave questions and just listened to the answers. I'm sharing this very personal story for an important reason. There's a technique here that any one of you could use with any one of your customers, co-workers, family members, to bring the relationship to the next level. Before these questions, I didn't like my grandmother. She was a mean, negative, nasty woman. In today's language, you would call her abusive. I won't share the story today of the abuse I grew up with. No time for that. There's no warmth about her, no kindness, no self-esteem. However, through the questions I would ask her, the listening I would give her, she began changing. By the time she had turned 88, she was saying, "Love to go to Norway." She was born over there. "I'd like to see the old country, see my cousin, but I'm so old, I've waited so long." I thought to myself, if she's ever going to Norway, she should get going. Not getting any younger. Then it dawned on me, maybe she should go. I took her. I said, "Grandma, heard you say Norway all your life. If you want to go to Norway, just say so. I'll take you this summer." She said yes instantly. We went in August of 88, at age 88. She was so happy, she threw away her cane, threw away her walker. She walked the whole time over there. As we camped along the northern tundra of Norway with her young cousin of 81. Afterwards kept saying, "I want to go back to Norway, age 95, more camping in Norway, 95. My father, who had lost his wife, my mom, they kept saying to me, "Dad, stepmom, can't take her to Norway. She's 95. She's so old. She could die over there." I love Grandma's response. She said, "Well, that would be your problem." Kind of respect people like that. I'm not suggesting you spend hours and hours in deep conversation with every prospect, every customer, coworker. Nobody has time for that. I know that, so do you. Not even appropriate. What I am saying is this. If all we talk about is something as deep as the weather, or how our garden might be doing, if that's the depth of the conversation, we're communicating one of two things. One might be, I don't know what to ask to build a stronger relationship. To maybe thinking, just keep it superficial, keep our distance. What I'm suggesting as a takeaway is you take 5 minutes, 60 seconds once in a while, to ask a little braver question and listen to their response. Maybe you have somebody back at the bank, I don't know, that has a dad dying of cancer, and you ask, "How's your dad doing? How are you holding up?" And you listen for a few moments. Maybe somebody else in the team has got a divorce in their hands. You think, "I don't want to say anything, it'll upset that person." If they said it originally, it means at some point in the future, I might want to talk about it. That's those who, what, when, where, why, how questions. I think it's the best thing I do with my employees. I have employees in London and Edinburgh and 3 states in the U.S. At least once, twice a year, sit down, have lunch, and ask brave questions. It may be, "What do you like about this job? How does my leadership inspire you?" Or, very brave, "How do I get in your way sometimes of getting your job done?" We have great loyalty and motivation. It's the way I keep my relationship, my wife and I, close. When you have a job that's traveling all the time, it's hard on a relationship. So at least once a month, take a walk down the beach and ask brave questions. Ask those who, what, when, where, why, how questions. Your logo is great, being trusted partners in business and life. And the way you do that, you go beyond the superficial, ask the braver question once in a while. People say, "Yeah, that's nice in theory, going acting enthusiastically, but what if you're understaffed in your department? What if your boss hasn't got a clue? What if your kids won't listen to you? If your husband or wife is difficult, is a nag, how do you stay enthusiastic around those types?" Well, the answer is right there, that second point. And that is, do not catch the other person's disease. He says 85% test out as reactors in this country. They don't think, just react. If you'll choose to be an actor, that 15%, and it's a choice, most will follow along. Be an actor, not a reactor. And we can work with people if we don't like them or agree with them. If we know they mean what they say, they follow through, keep their promises. You tell a colleague, "I'll get back to you." Just made a promise. Whether right or wrong, employees do keep score. To go back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got busy, I forgot," doesn't show respect. If you write down every promise you make on a piece of paper, your Google Calendar, you write them down, you cross them off, you do that. Got kids like that? Never forget. Remember when I was in 2nd grade, we'd line up on the playground every day to buy a milk ticket. It cost us 2 cents back then. One kid in the playground, Mike Fensky, forgot his milk money. I loaned him 2 cents. He has never paid me back. It's true. Never forget the promises. I did for many years a 5-day peak performance boot camp. We begin at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, go to midnight. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 50 hours in 5 days. Very intense training. It was so popular, people would wait 3 years to get into the class. I'd offered 8 times a year. Despite the fact they would wait 3 years to get in, some got in who didn't want to be there. They were forced to go by their manager to get shaped up in some way. Or some student would get some credits at the university quickly completed. They didn't seem to want to be there. I didn't have a lot of this interest in them. I kind of write them off. In one class, had a guy maybe 27 years of age. Looked like my stereotype of a jock. He was muscular, buff, and great shape, but he acted cool, aloof, and arrogant. He wouldn't get involved. He'd sit back like, how silly. Stand up, sit down, talk to this person, talk to that one, communication skills, how silly, how stupid. He didn't say it, but he looked that way. I thought to myself, hey, buddy, get involved or get out of here. Don't waste my time. Besides, who wants you for a partner like a bump on a log sitting there? Didn't say it, but thought that. 4 nights into the class, he makes his first comment to the group. When I was back in grade school, he said, I was the puniest kid in school. I was picked on, beaten on time and time again. Got so sick of being beaten on, began working out in weights. 2 hours a day, 3 days a week for the last 12 years. And suddenly I realized something. Every bit of free time he'd ever had, he used to get his body in good shape. He'd achieved that goal. He's coming to class to learn about communication. He wasn't acting cool or aloof or arrogant. For heaven's sakes, the guy was shy. Didn't have any communication skills. I'll just sit back and listen till I understood that. I wasn't very good at being his teacher, his coach, his mentor. Another class had a lady maybe 250 pounds. I thought to myself, hey lady, go on a diet, exercise, take care of yourself. I'm not proud to admit to you that I was that shallow, that judgmental years ago. But that's where my head was. One night she said to the group, her first comment, she said, I feel so good about myself. Last year I weighed 348 pounds. I'm down to 241 right now. And there went the judgment. I suddenly realized that I seldom have enough data to play God and judge somebody else. What I've learned is I get a little bit older, a little bit wiser. So as many of my snap judgments, first impressions, stereotypes have been wrong. I take time to really understand somebody else. Typically I have more respect and less judgment. Difficulty is we're all busy folks. A snap judgment can be made in a snap. It takes a few seconds. It takes time and skill to really understand somebody else, show interest in them. But this is the magical part. I've learned that when I show interest in folks, I always get more from folks. When you find somebody you find difficult to work with, it just turns you off. Do more than write them off. If you can show some interest in them, doesn't mean you have to like them. Doesn't mean you have to socialize with them. Doesn't mean you have to approve of bad behavior. I would never suggest that. If I can show interest in them, make them feel like they belong, you get more from them. For some people, that's their key language. For example, all the airlines are whining these days. Can't make any money. We're going bankrupt. Need a government bailout. Help us out. We're going bankrupt. Can't make any money. Not trying to pick on them. It's a tough industry. I realize that. But there's one airline that's made money every year, 30 years in a row. Good times, bad times, always makes money. Who is it? They may not have better planes, better food, but they've got one thing that's part of their brand, making sure that flying's a little bit more fun. Anybody flown Southwest? A little bit different? I get in a Southwest plane one time. Flight attendant making safety announcements. Most don't listen to safety announcements. She says this, there may be 50 ways to leave your lover. Only 2 ways to leave this plane. If you are smart, take out the safety card and follow carefully, all reading the safety cards. We laugh, but we create rapport, we connect, putting some playfulness in there. For example, I eat a lot of meals on the road. I look forward to a nice meal in the evening. I stopped at this one restaurant. I asked the waiter what he recommended. He gave me the name of 2 other restaurants. I went, whoa, when he said, gotcha. I'll give you good service, you'll be happy. And of course, I liked him more, you got a bigger tip. Putting fun in the workplace.